Good morning. Today I'm going to show you how you can recreate these. On WordPress.org now there are over 1,000 block patterns that you can use on your own website for free. So I've gone through all 1,000 and picked out my top 20. What's really amazing about block patterns is just how easy they are to use and reuse on different websites. So here we are on the WordPress.org website. If I see a pattern I like this one down here, I can just click copy. Then I go to my website and I literally click paste, and that pattern is now in that page. And because it's just using Core Gutenberg, I can edit everything. All these don't use any CSS and no plugins whatsoever. If you want to test these out for yourselves, then you can go to WordPress.org and see the block patterns there. But I've also put a link in the description below where you can find just my top 20. Right, without any further ado, let's get into the patterns. Coming in at number 20 is this fantastic page design here. What I really love about this though is this photo overlap effect. This is done with no plugins and no CSS whatsoever. Let's go behind the scenes and see how they actually did this. So on the left, I've got Gutenberg, the block editor. On the right, for reference, I've got the actual website. But all they've done is add a cover block, and then they've set an overlay gradient on top of that cover block background image. You can see this here. They've set a background image, which is the left-hand line. And then down here in the block settings, they've just added an overlay opacity and then basically graduated that opacity so it fades to white, but put the 2 points right in the middle so you get this very distinct line. Check out my previous tutorial if you want to see how to do this in more details. But it's a really, really simple effect. And then to get this image here, all they've done is add an image within the cover block and set that image using this little matrix here to be center right. Next up is this lovely frame effect, again using no plugins and no CSS whatsoever. So we've got this lovely yellow frame. We've also got a graduation from the bottom here, so it's darker here where we've got the call to action to it is at the top. So let's go and have a look how they've done this one. But it's a really creative way of using Gutenberg. I wouldn't have thought of doing this way. So essentially we've got 2 cover blocks, that's all they've done. The first cover block has a background image and a yellow overlay opacity. The second cover block has the same background image set to it. It has this overlay going from black to transparent at the top, so we get our eyes are drawn down to this section here, which is really great. And then to add the border around it, on the first cover block, they've added a little bit of padding down here in percentage. And you'll see as I drag this wider, you can see how the frame effect actually comes to play. So you can play around with the color and also the size of the frame that you want. Next one is this nice simple call to action section here. Great use of colors to draw your eye to where they want you to go to. Let's go behind the scenes and see how this is being built. It's pretty straightforward stuff with a few nice touches. Let's look at the list here and see how this has been built. So we start off with a group block at the top level, which just has a gray background color assigned to it. Then within that, we have a 2-column block. In the left-hand column, we have a heading block here and another heading block underneath, so we can set different colors. And then in the right-hand column, we just have 2 buttons. The other thing they've done in the right-hand column, though, they've set the alignment, the vertical alignment, to be in the middle. So those buttons over on the right there line up. And then to customize the button, what they've done, the key bit really is down here. They've set a different radius for each of the corners, going from top left to top right to bottom left to bottom right. And they've set those as 35, 30. But obviously you could jump in here and change the buttons. You see how that button now has a more curved edge. But the overall effect is really cool. This next one is a really clever way of using the overlay color effect that you get built in with the cover block. Let's go behind the scenes and see how they've done this one. And essentially what we've got, if we click on the list view, we've got a cover block with other blocks within it, and all we've got is a group block, and then within that we've got a core heading, another core heading, another core heading. They've added different core headings so you can have different colors on each heading block. I think they've probably played around with the line height here as well, and then a paragraph block and a buttons block. But the key bit, let's close down the list view, is on the main cover block itself. They've added this amazing overlay because you can have multiple points that you create within your overlay picker. See, they've got multiple points here. They've got a white point, a yellow point, because you can set the color for each point essentially, and a black point there, and a black point there, and a yellow point there. And this is all this is doing. So if I change the opacity slider here, can you see what's happening? It's basically just turning that overlay on and off. This is a great example of how simple can be really effective. It's a pretty simple layout, but what I really love about this is this highlighted text feature, which I don't think everyone knows about, but it's built into Gutenberg now. So I want to show you how you can do that if you want to on your own sites. So here we have Gutenberg over on the right. Let's quickly look on the list view just to see what we've got. So we've got a group block where the background gray color, there is a subtle gray color to that has been applied. Then within that, we've just got a columns block, but this is the bit I want to show you how to do. So you select any word you like, then you come up here and click on this little more arrow here, and then just choose highlight. Now you can choose the text color, and you can also choose the background color. So if I click on the color picker, let's choose a very lurid pink color. And there you go, that text has now got a background to it. It can be abused, so be careful how you use it. This next one uses the mysteries of the cover block to create this nice window effect. So essentially we've got two pictures, and it looks like we've edited the pictures to show different sections of it, but actually we've just used the cover block and fixing the background. Let me show you how this one works. It's really cool. So here we've got Gutenberg again over on the left, and let's look at the list view just to see what we've got. So we've started off with a group block, and we've set a background color to that group block, and we've also added some padding to the top and the bottom, but within that we've got a columns block. Within the left hand column we have this cover block here. Now the secret sauce here is when you set the background image, you need to select fixed background. So we set the same background image for each of these columns, but we set the fixed backgrounds. And that means, it's hard to explain, but that means basically it's going to show like a window effect onto those two columns. It's a really cool and simple effect to do. You can add multiple columns to get even more windows as well if you want to. This layout could be used for a services page, and what's really nice about it is nice design, but these nice little corners again and how they've achieved this. Let me dive behind the scenes and show you how this one has been built. So on the left here, you'll see in the list view, we've just got a group block at the top, and we've set this sort of off yellow color. And then underneath this, we've got a columns block, which is this block here. And then underneath that, we've got these 4 columns. Let's close this down now so we can see it. But the key secret sauce to this is they've essentially, let me just select one of these so you can see what's inside it. We've actually got a group block inside that, and they've set a padding, but the key bit is down here. They've set a different radius on the group block. They've also obviously set the background color for that group block, but the key bit is down here. They've set a different radius. So you'll see that corner there has no radius set on it, but if I do set a radius on it, let's go for 90 radius. Can you see how it's changed the proportions of that group block? Very simple to do, but a nice way to accomplish it. This prices page layout uses the columns block really cleverly to create this nice simple design. It might look simple, but actually it's quite complex how they've built this. Let's go behind the scenes and see the block editor. So I'll make this a bit bigger so it's easier for us to see. So essentially we've just used lots and lots of columns, but at the start here, at the top level, we have the group block, which has a background color of that nice light gray. Then within the group block, this is where the columns start to go a bit crazy, but it's really smart. We've got the first columns block, which is the main columns block. And then within that, we've got essentially 2 columns. The left column is pretty simple. We've just got a couple of paragraph blocks, 3 paragraph blocks. And the right-hand column, we have got a whole bunch of other columns blocks, because if you think about it, we've got the second column, but we need to space both the description and the price out, and they've done that by adding columns block within that. But within that, we've got further columns. So you'll see if I click on this, we've got 2 columns within that, which is basically that text there and that text there. That's how we get those 2 columns. At the top level, on this right-hand column within the column, we've actually set a background color. So if I click down here, you'll see the background color for that column here is set as orange. And then the other thing they've done, they've added a radius down here on each of those column blocks, so you can change the radius accordingly to change the design. The next one might be the cleverest one of the whole 20 actually, and I still don't fully understand how they've achieved this. So if you want to use this, I recommend you just copy the pattern and make your changes. Here's what I'm talking about, this amazingly clever progress bar effect. Again, we're not using a plugin for this or any CSS. This is just using core blocks. The secret sauce seems to be over here within this column. I'm not going to go through every single column of this because it would probably take about an hour, but essentially you've got columns and groups. And within this column, they've actually set a background, again, using this background opacity changer here. So if you wanted to change the direction of this like I'm doing here, you could just drag these points along to make it less or more. I've kind of broken that one, but you get the idea. This is how they've done it. They've just used the overlay color picker to create these effects. So you can change the colors, you can change the proportions. It's a bit of a mind, you know what, but it's incredibly clever. This nice follow us box, just using core blocks again. Let's go behind the scenes and see how this one's done. It's pretty straightforward. Nice use of the group block. So over on the left, we've got Gutenberg. And you'll see the important stuff really. We've got a cover block and we've set a background overlay on that. Actually, you could probably just use a group block for that. But within that, we've got another group block here. So we've got essentially two group blocks, this white group block here and this gray group block down here. And we've just set different colors for those. Within the first group block, you'll see, if I open this up, we've actually got some columns. I'm not quite sure why we've got columns, but we've just got a whole bunch of stuff, a heading, and then some paragraph blocks and a buttons block. And then we've got the second group block. But the key bit here, to get this working, you might need to change the margin between these two blocks. And you'll see if I click on the second group block, I can go down here. There's the background color. But the key bit is down here, we've got a 0 margin for top and bottom. And you'll see if I increase that, it increases. So depending on your theme, you might need to play around with that 0 margin. Make sure that's set as 0. This is actually one of my favorites because it's so simple but so effective. This is actually designed by Brian Gardner, a very well-known designer within the WordPress world. It's really simple to do, but it just looks beautiful. There's so much lovely white space to let you breathe. This is how it's built, and there are a few things to note. Essentially, we've got a group block at the top level, then we've got two columns within it. So fairly simple stuff. Within this first column, we've got this nice bit of big text. Fantastic. And then we've got this little paragraph underneath here. And then we've set that paragraph to align to the right. It's a simple thing, but it just takes it to the next level in terms of design. Then we've got the second columns block over here with essentially two paragraph blocks and a buttons block. But the important thing in here is up here. We have set, or Brian has set, the vertical alignment to be at the bottom of the columns block, which is why it's down here. This is a really clever and cute way to do cutouts within your pages. The clever bit is this yellow border that comes around here, and this piece of content cuts into the page, cuts into the picture. We're not using any CSS and we're not using any third-party plugins. Can you work out how this was done? Let's go behind the scenes and see Gutenberg so we can work it out. Essentially, all we've got though, at the top level, we have one cover block and we've set the background image. But within that cover block, we have two group blocks. This is how it works. Now, the first group block, we just set a background color over here on the right. And we also change the padding on the top and also the right. You'll see why then. If I increase the padding, can you see how it increases the padding? And more of the second block, or the first group block shows through. Let's set that back to 1, although I quite like 17. Now, we also on this one, we set a radius on the top right here as 3em. Again, you can play around with that radius. You can put in different values. The more you put in, the more curvy it gets essentially. Then we go to the second group block. This is where we actually put our things like our heading and our paragraph. But to get this effect, we also don't add any padding on this one, but we do need to add a radius to the top right. Here is a nice simple idea for a hero image. Could be used for a call to action, or in this case, a quotation. Can you work out how this one was done? You may be able to by now. It's pretty straightforward. Let's go and have a look behind the curtains at Gutenberg to see how it's being built. Essentially though, it's pretty straightforward. We've just got a cover block with a columns block within it that has been set to show on the top left within the cover block up here using the little dot matrix. But the important stuff, the secret sauce, is the cover block. Let's select the cover block up here, has an overlay applied to it, and you'll see the overlay is here. It's gone from black to basically transparent, which you can set in the overlay picker, which I've covered before. So check out that tutorial if you want to learn how to do that. If I change the overlay opacity here, you can see how that is working. And if we want to change the angle or the colors, we come in here and you can see I can just play around with the angle here to get different effects. Nice and simple, but looks great. I spent a long time looking at this next one, working out how they did it, because this yellow isn't part of the background image. It's really smart. It's actually using blocks. They are blocks. Let's go and have a look at this one. Really clever again. Let's look at the list view because that will show us how it's all been built. Let's make this a bit bigger. Essentially, we've got a group block at the top level. Then we have a columns block. That columns block has a background image applied, sorry, background color applied to it. But the secret sauce here is within each column, we have some stuff. We've actually got this first column has this group block, which has a background color applied to it. But this is where it gets really cute. It has loads of padding applied to it, like 400 pixels. That stretches it down. You'll see if I reduce this, it comes down. So you have to put this in manually rather than using the little slider, because the slider doesn't give you enough value. It's not expecting you to go that crazy. So that's the first thing. You add some padding. We've added a background color and some padding to it. But then we come down to the radius here, and we just set a radius, pretty massive radius, to the right-hand edge. You see if I reduce this, it goes back to square. So you can play around with the radius to get the effect that you want. And then essentially we've got in the middle column, we've got some blocks essentially. We've got a heading block and some paragraph blocks and a button block. The same thing happens in the third column. Let's look into that. We've got a group block again here, and we've got the same thing. We've got a top padding of 150. Let's remove that down so we can squish that down if we want to, or we can increase that again if we want to, if we wanted a longer bit of stuff. And we've also got a radius here. But to get that position, what they've done within that columns block, this is the key bit here, they've changed the vertical alignment to bottom, and essentially that's what they've done with this top one as well. In this columns block, they said all blocks align to the top. I like this next one because it really shows the interplay of design and Gutenberg. Essentially what we've got is this layout here where we've got a laptop with a textured image behind it and some text over on the right. But what's clever about it, and it's not that clever, but it kind of is clever from a design point of view, this image is actually one image. This textured background and this laptop is one image. So if I drag it, you'll see, you can sort of see there, that's actually the image, and you can see how the textured background is part of that image. This is how it's been built. Essentially, we've got a group block at the top level, and a background color has been assigned to that group block. Then within that, we've got two columns blocks. In the left column, we have our image with our textured background. Now, because it's set as transparent PNG, this image, basically the background shows behind the laptop. That's pretty much it. And then in the right-hand column, we have our text, and then that's duplicated down below. Here's a cute idea to make your titles more interesting. The cute bit is this overlapping title up here. Can you work out how this was done? We've seen this before. Let's go and have a look at how this was built in Gutenberg. Essentially what we've got here is we have a group block, and within that we have the cover block, and then within that we have our heading block. But within the cover block, this is the secret sauce, and you won't be surprised to know we've actually got an overlay in this. Now you can't really see it here, but essentially we've got an overlay that goes from transparent to non-transparent. Let's remove this. Can you see how that's working? So essentially we've knocked out the background image by using a transparency to overlay that on top of that. Sorry, a white on top of that, not a transparency, a white on top of that. So essentially we have white here, and we have this color here. The image is still there, but it looks like it's not there because we've added this graduated effect over the top of it. How about this for a cute hero section? Can you work out this one? Let's go and have a look at Gutenberg to see how this one has been built. So what we've got is we've got a group block at the top level, and then a background color has been set to that group block. And within that group block, we've got some blocks. We've got a heading block and a paragraph block and the buttons block. But at the top level group blocks, as you've probably guessed by now, we have a background gradient, and we've set the color here, and the color pickers here set where those colors go. So you can see I can make this thinner or wider. But the key bit is these color pickers have to be right on top of each other, so you get that nice sharp edge. You can also change the angle though. How cute is that? There is nothing very complicated about this next one, but it's really nice because you have lots of white space, we have a big heading, and we have these nice interesting placement of images. The subject certainly helps. Let's go and check out how this is built in Gutenberg. There's nothing particularly complex in the block editor. It's more around how these designs have been placed. So here we've got the block editor on the left. All we've got is a columns block. In the left-hand columns, we have this image block here that has been set to the top of that column using the alignment option up here. So it's been set to the top. Then underneath that we have this paragraph. It looks like a heading block, actually it's just a paragraph block with a large font size over here, and it's been set as appearance black because we have these extra options in here. Then in the right hand column, what we've got here is one image, and all that's happened on that image is it's been placed using the vertical alignment again in the columns block, this one here, to be aligned at the bottom. Something a little bit different now, we have this nice gallery with a read more button down in the bottom right. What's nice about the gallery though, it has the same DuoTone filter applied to it, so we get a nice consistency for all the images. Let me show you how this was built. This is Gutenberg over on the left, and you can see we've just got a group block at the top level. That's the main container block, and the background color has been set as black. In that block we have the gallery block with each of these images as a separate image, but a DuoTone filter has been applied to each of those images, and you can see here that is where the DuoTone filter is applied. If I click on that, you can see this is the one that's being applied. You can choose your own colors, or you can choose one of these different ones over here. And then underneath that, we actually have a columns block. You could probably achieve the same thing now, I'm guessing, using the row block, but we've got two columns, and then in the right-hand column, we've got the buttons block. And then at number one, this is my favorite example of a layout. I think it's so clever. If you stare at this for a long time, can you work out how they did this? Again, no CSS, no third-party plugins. What's really clever is these images here, and especially this image here, how it's dissecting, or rather bisecting, this block here. And this is how it's achieved. Let's click on the list view because that unveils the secrets of this. So at the top level we have a group block, but the secret sauce on this is we have a background set here, 50-50. We're using the gradient overlay again, where we've got blue to white essentially. That gives us this nice background. Now within that group block we actually have, in the left hand column, we have an image block up here, and underneath that we have a heading block, and down here we have a paragraph block. In the middle column though, we have this image over here, but that is set to show in the middle, and we do that by going to the columns block, the middle columns block, and choosing this little icon here, and just changing the vertical alignment to be aligning the middle. That means that will now align vertically in the middle. And then in the in the right hand column, we just have a heading block, a buttons block, and an image block. Fantastic design. Quite simple when you look at it actually, but really, really clever. Oh, the other thing that this has on each image, it actually has a border, a white border of 10 pixels. That gives us that nice sort of radius. So you can see how you can play with that as well. So you can experiment having more padding or less padding on your images. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found that useful. Remember, if you want to use any of my top 20, you don't have to recreate them from scratch. You can just go and download them and edit them. There is a link in the description to WordPress block patterns, and there is also a link to my top 20. Thank you again for watching. If you enjoyed this video, if you can hit that like button now, it would be amazing, because it really does help spread the word of the channel. And also, every time you do hit that like button, our cats get a little treat. If you want to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button and the little bell icon, and you'll be notified every time I release a new one. Keep well, watch one of these two videos, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.